Today, we look at an anthology story with a variety of genres covered in it. All the stories have one thing in common though, a celebration of the LGBTQ+ community, specifically looking at the relationship between a man and a man. This is Young Men in Love, New Romances. Hello there, Geek Collective, and welcome to Geeks Plus Comics, where we are more than just your average geek. I, of course, am your host for today, Cross, and today we are checking out a brand new anthology book called Young Men in Love, New Romance from A Wave Blue World. This is an amazing queer anthology book with a focus on new relationships being formed. The book is the second in a series following Young Men in Love, the first one which was a hit success and a winner of a GLAAD award that was put out there for the amazing stories that were told, the amazing representation that was shown for the gay community. This one seeks to follow up on that amazing success, bringing back in some of the old creators from the first volume, as well as some brand new creators to work on a whole bunch of brand new stories. 14 stories in all put together in this amazing collection, all with a focus on new romances being formed. This book is, of course, again edited by Joe Glass and Matt Miner, the amazing editors that were behind the first volume, and they have returned to edit and put together this second volume, which is absolutely fantastic to see them coming back and continuing the amazing work that they are doing. So I'm super excited for that to be happening, and I'm super excited for the opportunity to check this out. So just like the first book, all of the stories are of different genres, ranging from sci-fi to fantasy, slice of life to historical fiction to superhero, showing that homosexual relationships can be represented in multiple genres. It is not something that detracts from a story or genre, but can just tell a slightly different story than what was there before. Also as well, I do want to say before I jump into this today, this is one of our Pride specials for Pride Month in June. I, of course, myself telling this review and letting you know about this story, I am 100% a cis heterosexual white male. I am not gay, I am not bi, I am not trans, I am not any part of the LGBTQ community as a whole. I do not represent that, so I'm here to do what I usually do. I'm here to review the comic. I'm here to review the stories that are being told, to critique the artwork that's being shared, and to give my opinions specifically on that. I cannot speak personally upon LGBTQ representation in this. I cannot speak specifically to the stories that are told and how well or how not well it portrays the LGBTQ community and gay relationships. It's not something I've ever had, so it's not something I am going to personally speak to. Also, in saying that, if as not being part of that community, if there is anything that I do say that comes across in the wrong way, that is possibly offensive, that is not the right way to express something, to represent something, to put something across, please have my heartfelt apologies beforehand. That is not my intent. I am open to any critiques, any guidance and education and learning on that, but it is not my intent, and I hope it is not seen in a harmful way of that. Also as well though, speaking of the representation in this book, I cannot fully represent this whole book in a 20-minute review. There are 14 stories, like I said, and today I am only going to be covering 3 of them. Only 3 I will talk about today. I will go in depth, I will give my thoughts on, but please note there are so many more amazing stories represented here. So many more amazing creators that are bringing their stories, their artwork, their colouring, their lettering, their ideas, their thoughts and their perspectives to this book. So I cannot represent it completely myself. But I will be putting a link down below where you can go and pick up the book for yourself if you want to go and grab it and support these creators, and also check out all the other amazing work that's going on here. I hope this gives you a little taster of it, but you can go and check out the rest of it in full for yourself. With that being said, we do have the usual YouTube stuff, so please, if you're enjoying the content here, go down, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any future videos from us. Make sure as well that you hit that like button and leave a comment down below, as it really does help us out in the YouTube algorithm and we would greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much. Also as well, if you want to get our videos before they drop here on YouTube, as well as early access to other content and exclusive stuff over on our Patreon, you can support us there for as little as $2 a month, and everything that we get over there goes towards supporting Geeks Plus, goes towards helping our creative team to get new ideas, to put out new content, to upgrade equipment, everything like that. It all feeds right back into what we're doing. So anyone who is financially supporting us, thank you. We greatly appreciate it. But I think that's everything covered for now, so let's dive on in. This is Young Men in Love, New Romance. Young Men in Love, New Romance. It was written by Bradley Clayton, David Hazan, Joe Glass, Jarrett Melendez, Hamish Steele, Josh Cornillon, Joe Corallo, Matt Miner, Al Ewing, Connor Nerdson, Greg Anderson-Elise, Josh Trujillo, Anthony Olivier, and David M. Boer. With artwork from Bradley Clayton, Noah Dow, Gavin Mitchell, Jacoby Salcedo, Giopota, Josh Cornillon, Chase Bluestone, Daryl Toh, Luciano Vecchio, Patricio Oliver, Xavier Lavagnino, David Brame, Vincent Battagno, DJ Kirkland, August Canicus, and Elias Kyriazis, with lettering by Lucas Gattoni. And if I've mispronounced any of those, I apologise. The first story that we'll be looking at is called Just Friends, with story and art from Bradley Clayton and lettering from Lucas Gattoni. Our story begins in Birmingham, Alabama in 2010. We see the protagonist of our story cycling through the blistering heat to the home of his best friend Nick. He has a backpack full of comic books that he has just got from his cousin and is heading to Nick's for their monthly tradition of locking themselves away in the basement and binging through the pile of brand new comics, as has been their tradition since 7th grade. Deep into their new comic binge, our protagonist turns to Nick, and, inspired by the 1,000 Faces of Grady and Velma, asks Nick if he thinks they would be friends and find each other if the universe kept chewing them up and spitting them out in new bodies and places. Nick says of course he would know. He'd be the one asking dumbass questions like, would you love me if I was a worm? They sit in silence for a moment, and Nick grabs his arm and says that he would know him anywhere, and if for any reason he was gone, that he would go to the ends of the earth to find him again. At just that moment, Nick's girlfriend Marissa comes in to check on them. She's our protagonist's other best friend, but even as she comes in and changes the conversation, the protagonist can't help but feel his skin buzzing where Nick had touched his arm, and knows his heart does that whenever he thinks of Nick. As a result, he's stuck in a sort of love-envy void. He says that they're always together, the three of them in some sort of configuration. He games and reads comics with Nick, while he listens to music and talks with Marissa. The three of them even went to homecoming together. But inside, he feels like he's quietly dying. One day, while hanging out with Marissa, she asks our protagonist if he thinks it's possible to love someone in different ways, or will one always blot out the others? Our protagonist isn't sure what she means, but knows they're about to have a real conversation. At least they are until Marissa changes the subject. He doesn't hear anything more of it until one day he gets a text from Nick asking to meet him at the dock to talk. Our protagonist asks if they are secret agents with all this secrecy. Why won't he tell him what's going on? Nick hands him his phone, and our protagonist reads Marissa's text to Nick. She says that she thinks about whether you only date someone because you knew them at that weird time when your brains were both cooking with hormones. She says she doesn't know if what she feels is what you're supposed to feel for someone you love, and she's only 75% certain that she likes guys in that way. She feels that it would be best to end it here, rather than just to continue on, just because. As our protagonist looks up, he is met with Nick moving in and kissing him. He is so shocked that he pushes Nick off of him while dropping his phone into the river. He begins to logic away Nick's actions, saying that he's single barely an hour and is on the rebound, and is just worried that if he did that with a girl, that the girl would just reject him. And he tells Nick that he can't do that as Nick's now ex is one of his best friends, and besides, using him as a rebound would be cruel to do to him. Nick says that's not what he intended. In fact, Marissa doing this was the time that he needed to reassess things. He should be heartbroken that they split up, but he's not. Nick says that he thinks he has always loved our protagonist like that. He'd know him anywhere and love him anywhere. If they were separated, he would spend 100 years looking for him. Nick asks if he can give him another kiss, and our protagonist says that he can, but he better make it quick, as he probably needs to get his phone back out of the river. That and his heart can only take so much. This story comes to a close, saying love means so many things, and maybe you can feel more than one type of love at once. But who knows? They're just teenagers, as we see our new lovebird sitting next to Marissa, and who looks to be her new girlfriend, all playing video games together. Our second story for today is called Lovers True, and is written by David Hazan, with art from Noah Dow and lettering from Lucas Gattoni. The story begins with the tower, sat high on a mountain at the edge of the world, a place where it is said that the land gives way to an endless sky. Inside the tower are two doors. Behind one of these doors is said to lie your heart's deepest desires, while behind the other is certain doom. Standing at these doors are two guards, bound to eternally stand guard over them, and bound in silence, except to answer one question from each of those who seek what lies beyond the doors. However, one of the guards always tells lies, and the other always tells the truth. Placed to lead others to their heart's desires since a time before time, while also being denied their own heart's desires. We go back and we see the two guards, before their time bound to the doors. And in fact, they were scribes, with the task of recording the love stories of others. We see them standing with one another while on a hillside, when the blonde scribe pulls the other in for a kiss. As much as he wants it, the brunette scribe pulls away and says that he can't. It's wrong, and he's scared that someone will see them. The blonde scribe, however, isn't scared, and in fact suggests that they leave together that night. They run away and never look back. The brunette scribe is shocked by such a suggestion. To leave paradise? They have a divine duty and swore a sacred oath to their patron god. The blonde scribe is almost in disgust at his sacred oath, and asks if they are meant to ignore this. He scribes until they are old and grey and unable to even hold the stylus, recording the love of others, but being denied the chance to experience it for themselves. The brunette scribe is moved by this. Well, the blonde scribe says that he refuses to let that be their destiny. He tells his love to gather supplies, as it's time for them to find their place in the world. The blonde scribe attempts to make his way out to meet his love that night, but the god Deuce is sitting by his scrying pool and spots the scribe out later than he ought to be. He asks if he's trying to peer into the depths of the pool himself, to which he responds, of course not, that's forbidden. Sleep was merely eluding him, so he wanted to walk. Deuce allows him to pass but says that there is much work tomorrow and mortals need their rest. Not long after, the brunette scribe then comes to Deuce and says that he needs to speak with him. Deuce is shocked that yet another scribe is out so late, and the brunette scribe tells Deuce that this is what he came to talk to him about. The scribe proceeds to tell Deuce everything that has transpired, about his love being tired of their sacred duty, wanting to elope and for him to go with him, that he's seeking the love found in the stories of others that they are to transcribe. The scribe then tells Deuce that, on the other hand, he adores their duty and his sacred task, but he also adores the other scribe and cannot complete the work without him. Deuce asks that he takes him to the blonde scribe. The blonde scribe waits by the tree that they spoke at that afternoon and is excited to see his love join him. The brunette scribe says that he is sorry, but before the blonde scribe can take in and understand what his love means, Deuce speaks. He tells them that they have betrayed their divine purpose and each other. Deuce says that they covet the kind of love seen in the stories they record each day, but yet do not heed the lessons of those stories, or see the trials and hardships they endure. But now they will. He says that until they can speak their heart's desire, they will ever lead others to theirs, ever together and ever unable to speak, but to answer a single question for many who ask. Since then they have stood guard, forgotten and in silence, except for those brave enough to seek the tower and to ask them a question. But they wait eternally for the opportunity provided by the right question, to speak their own heart's desire and be free from their eternal curse. But what chance is there that someone would have one question and ask what was necessary for them to be free? But maybe, just maybe, the right person will ask, "What is your story?" And once again, they may be free. The final story that I'll be looking at today is called Blazing Ahead. It is written by one of the editors of the book, Joe Glass. It has art from Gavin Mitchell and lettering from Lucas Gattoni. As this story begins, we see a city in ruin, as a team of supervillains have not only decimated the city, but have also eliminated all of the heroes that could stop them. The only hope the city has is two of the students from the Hero Academy, Drake and Sam. But what can they possibly do against odds like this? In the middle of the chaos and surrounded by dead allies, Drake and Sam observe the villains and desperately try to think of a next step. Drake says that he can't believe he got stuck with Sam and recommends that Sam makes a run for it and tries to find some sort of help. But Sam says there's no way that he's doing that. You can see the frustration in Drake's face as he asks why he still has to be a pain in his ass, even now. Sam has no idea what he's talking about. Drake says that Sam is always in his face and never listens to him, and it's been that way since the first day at school. Drake was top of his class in high school, so Coming to the academy was a no-brainer, and he looked to do more of the same. No one's powers came near to his level. That is until Sam arrived, and immediately made him look like a chump, and showing off with his power, stealing Drake's limelight. No matter what he did, and no matter how far ahead Drake got in something, Sam would surpass him, and do so with a smug grin on his face. The anger got so much at being shown up like this that Drake even attacked Sam. Drake says that Sam obviously hates him, so why not leave him and run and have a free shot to be the next best superhero? Why be so stubborn about this? Sam begins to laugh, and laugh hysterically, which completely catches Drake off guard. Sam can't believe that's what Drake thought, and tells him what he experienced from his perspective. Sam came into the class and seen Drake showing off in front of the class, and the first thing he thought was, this guy is so cool, and says that he knew right then that they could achieve so much together. He knew that he had to do something to grab Drake's attention, and although Sam says that he had the grace of a rhino, it worked, and Drake definitely noticed him. He says that he was still there to be a hero, so he pushed himself, and whenever he did overtake Drake, he was looking back to make sure that he was catching up, because he wanted him there beside him. And even when they came to blows, Sam knew Drake needed it, but that Drake was his own worst enemy, and was in his own way. And after they clashed, Sam told Drake that he wanted to get there, but only with him. Sam tells Drake that he doesn't hate him, and that he isn't going anywhere without him. No matter what, it's the two of them, always together. Their hands touch. They both look to their hands and then towards one another, and both of them move in for a kiss. They take a moment to make sure that they're ready to face their opponents, and to face them always together, and both jump into the fray against the team of supervillains. Drake yells that they are really in for it now. They always stand together, and when they're together, there is nothing that the villains can do to stand in Sam and Drake's way. Sam launches Drake as hard as he can towards the villains, and he lands in the center of them with a mighty explosion. They don't know how it's going to turn out, but they won't back down, and together, the villains can't hope to beat them. And that is where we are leaving it for the stories today. That doesn't even begin to scratch the surface of the stuff that is in this amazing comic. That is only 3 of the 14 stories, so there are still 11 more to go and check out for yourself. If these stories have hit you and got your attention and you're enjoying what they're presenting, what the creators are doing, all these amazing creators that have been brought together for this project, please go down and check it out down below. On these stories, I was thoroughly impressed and thoroughly surprised at just how good I found them. It takes a lot to put together a good comic. Just in general, a good story, good artwork, putting together a good comic is a hard thing to do. Putting together a good anthology book is even harder. To try and keep everything at the same level, everything at a high level of storytelling. Not to mention the fact of you're giving your creative teams a hard challenge of setting them a goal that they have to tell an enjoyable, cohesive story in so many number of pages. Which for most of these stories in the entire anthology, they are averaging, most of them are about 8 pages long. Some go as long as 10, some are as short as 6. But round about the 8-page mark seems to be it, and within 8 pages to tell a story, to build characters, to build investment in the characters is a hard task. And I think the creative teams here have done that. They have played to the genres that they are working in. They know what they're doing, what tropes to present. They have made the build up to the relationships feel natural and not forced, which is what a lot of stories can do sometimes, especially with a limited amount of time. They rush the story and it doesn't feel natural, it feels forced, and I have to applaud all the writing that I read. These 3 stories especially, they really stood out to me, but in all the stories I read in this book, the writing is phenomenal. I was invested in just friends with Nick and her protagonist who wasn't named. I was invested in their story, just the little friendship, the little build up of the story. I got to know their history, I got to know who they were, I got to know how they thought, and I got invested and felt the chemistry and the tension between them, that it was definitely something. And I thought that was a strong start, having Just Friends be your opening story as well. I adored the second story. The story of the scribes. Like, it's a play on the old trope, isn't it, of there's 2 doors and there's people standing in front of them, and one can lie and one can tell the truth. And they went and gave them backstories and got me invested in these scribes that had fallen in love with each other and wanted to experience the love that they wrote about, and you got me invested in that, and that played right into like one of my loves, that build up and that lore and that story of how stuff came to be, and got me invested. So now you've got these 2 guys who are almost like a ground fairy tale-esque curse of destined to stand next to the love of their life forever, unable to move, unable to embrace them, unable to even speak to them. And to stand there forever until someone asks a question that allows them to speak their heart's desire. When what is behind one of them is that person's heart's desire, which they're always going to take. And it's like, and not even can you not talk to your love and are just stuck next to them. But after it happened, like, the blonde scribe was trying to get them to elope and trying to get them to run. And they're cursed from there, and it's like, and it was like the brunette brought their god to them, and that's when the curse was put on them. And it's like, that was the last words they spoke to each other. And all this time, they've not even been able to talk about that. It's like, it's crazy. It's so well written. And then the blazing ahead, the story for the superheroes, like, I'm a superhero fan, I love superhero stories, and this was a really cool take. It had, talking about the Hero Academy, just tickled that My Hero Academia itch that I've got going on, hearing them talking about that, and seeing the city destroyed and that last minute thing. It was like, you know, the last 2 standing and we're going to go into it together no matter what happens. It's like brilliant, simple storytelling with a love interest and rivalry that was like, wasn't really a rivalry between them. The stories were written so well, and the art was just phenomenal. All of them had almost like different color palettes as well, where they had almost like tones of colors. Like Just Friends had coloring, but there was also a tone of like yellow over it, and there was almost a kind of like muted color to our second story, and then the final story with the heroes is like, it almost like kind of like orange and purple, like their color schemes almost playing off each other, and it was just, the artwork was just beautiful. This is a phenomenally done book. Kudos to Joe Glass and Matt Miner for bringing this together, bringing these creators together, putting this book together. And I've not read the first volume. I don't know anything about that one, but if it's anything like this one, I'm sure it's phenomenal as well. These are amazing creators, amazing creative teams on each of these stories doing phenomenal work. I highly recommend checking this out. Especially like if you're a part of the LGBTQ, please also go and check this out and support it, and come back and let me know in the comments. I want to know what you thought of the representation, because I can't speak to the representation, but as an outsider, I love that we had gay stories that weren't the whole personality of the character. Like, they're the gay character and that was their whole personality. Or it's like pushing it and ramming it down your throat. It's like, by the way, this is a gay relationship. Like, no, it just felt like a love story and they just happened to be gay. And I'm like, that's good writing. That's what it should look like. Looking at the writing perspective, that's what it should say. And I thought it was phenomenally done. So I absolutely adore this. Go click the link down below, go check it out for yourself. This has just been released recently. Treat yourself for Pride Month. This is definitely a pickup for a comic fan for Pride Month. And thank you so much for coming and hanging out with us. But I think that's it for me for today. Thank you so much. I hope you all have an absolutely amazing day. And remember, it's a good week to be a geek. Take care. We'll see you all next time. Peace.